Plenty fine. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's sorted, so let's get things going, eh? Um, I'm just assuming this is everyone who's going to turn up. Other people who are, I know some people message through who are stuck in traffic. Yeah, just generally a bit harder to get to today. Um, but that's fine. I just really wanted to check in with all of you, see if you managed to get through what we were going through last Thursday. Or yeah, with putting in the point clouds and getting your Revit project file set up. Anyone who's fallen behind a bit on that, don't worry. I can do like a one-on-one session with you and walk you through that linking process. Um, but yeah, no, for the rest of you, how'd you get on with modeling? No one's done anything. Yeah, no, that's fine. There was actually no expectation for getting modeling done. Just having those files ready to go. But yeah, that's what I want us to check in on. Thanks to those of you who already have dropped it in the weekly file share. That's just going to help me put together that first federated model. And that's probably going to be how I'm going to issue feedback to you, just because I can have all those models in one space then. It'll be pretty convenient. I can still see whose model is whose. But yeah, no, on that note, probably it's a good thing that you didn't all get too carried away with the modeling, because I did want to go over some of the level of detail. Did anyone check out that reference I did from the New Zealand BIM handbook? Yeah, that's fine. I'll go through it now. Let me get my screen share going. All right, cool. Is everyone seeing my screen? Yep, should be coming up now. What did I do? Okay, cool. It's good to see we've got a bit of chatter going on in here. That's what we like to see. Everyone's staying in touch. Yeah, so no, I've just dropped a couple of links for the New Zealand BIM handbook. If you follow through to this, just want to check with you guys. Has my Chrome browser come up in the screen share? Okay, yeah, great. So this is just really the go-to source for BIM services, and this just goes over a lot of the jargon. It's kind of like a resource similar to like what the NZIA would have for general practice notes and conventions. Um, so yeah, no, I'd say definitely read through some of the general terms in these sections, just so you start to familiarize with yourself with the jargon. That's really useful industry skills to have. But yeah, this is the one we're concerned with here is the level of development details. If we just drop into that one, you'll see again you've got a whole bunch of definitions in these sections, but the one we're really interested in is you can go all the way down here to this graph. And what we're going to focus on with the model is doing it at level of development 200. And that just means we're going to do everything really generically. We're just going to capture the essence of what we see in the point cloud with generic models and not get carried away with the detailing. So that means we're going to model the walls. We are going to model the windows and the doors. But we're not going to get too carried away with those details. We just want to capture the essence of that. So when it comes to a door, we just want to get that height and width correct. We're not looking to, get the profile of the jamb correct or anything. Yeah, so have a read through all these things. bit of the rest of the document as well, especially when it mentions LOD 200. Um, a lot of it will just be going over the purposes of, or like which stages these levels are appropriate at. For example, at like a design level, LOD 200 to 300 is probably what architects are going to be putting out. And then when you actually hand that over to construction, they're going to be bringing that right up to 400 or even 500 to make sure it's going to be as built. That's where that as built term comes in. It's capturing what it's like in real life, but digital. So like models nowadays, they really go through like a life cycle of development as they get passed on from designers to develop designers to right to the construction who are making sure those things are as they really are in real life. Because then after the construction has finished them, they'll hand them off to asset managers who generally belong to the building, and it's their job to take care of the facilities of the building. And so if they have access to a model that can pump out data and it's an as-built model that tells them exactly how it is, it's a really powerful tool for them to be able to do things like maintenance or later on renovations. It just makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so main thing is familiarize yourself with that LOD 200 so you don't get carried away in the model, because you'll end up sinking in a lot of time if you go overboard and you find that you really didn't need to. I'm going to be using these terms or like this criteria for how we end up doing the grading for this project as well. So you want to model up to the standard as well. So yeah, I mean that's about it. I'll leave the finer details up to you guys to get through. Yeah, I guess, Sian, did you have anything to add about level of detail? Okay, why don't we put them on the... Yeah, I was going to say, let's put them on the spot, see what we got. Did you say Hanalase? Okay. Yeah, no, exactly. Just really capturing that essence of the building, of the different elements. Sure, if there's columns, model them as columns, even though it's a structural component. It's probably going to be the easiest way to model it in the long run anyway. But yeah, I think a lot of things will be yeah. Okay, see, this is actually really handy because I'm assuming what Hanale's done here is used exactly the same file path as I have. So for me, the point clouds are just linking in. Or no, she's done something else, but it works. Let me see. What do I want? I want level. Um, Please tell me I did that right. Yes. Okay. Point clouds coming in now. What did you say about hitting tabs, Jan? Bam. Oh, yes, of course. There we go. Oh, nice. Yeah, so I mean that's just like a general rule of thumb for you guys as well. Tab is your friend. If you're finding that your cursor is just like hooking on to things that you don't want it to, and it will do that most of the time. Yeah, just hit tab and it'll kind of cycle through all the selection points that you've got there. So these are curtain walls there. Okay, yeah. I think for the most part you will be using these curtain walls because they're nice and easy to do for that rounded top there. Did you show how to do that in your modeling demo? Yeah, nice. So yeah, I mean that's like a really cool outcome already. I'm really happy with this level of detail. If we go back into the plan, let me just load in the, oh, sorry, I need to go. Okay, so here we got a little something actually where the wall looks like this model is a little bit thick. You can see that exterior face here. So you actually want to bring that wall back in a little bit. Or actually what I guess we're seeing is are these like this is that like pin up like chipboard though, isn't it? Yeah, so actually what I'd say is oh, no, didn't mean to do that. Um, you want to take you would want to take this exterior face here and bring this, I'd say this is actually the wall here, or the wall face here, so you probably want to bring that thickness down to, let's just say, uh, uh, 14, maybe even down to 400. Always remember to rename your families that you create as well. It's just good housekeeping. It'll stop you from mixing stuff up later. But yeah, we can see that there is a bit of an angle on this wall. So by the time you get down here, you can really see that difference. So bring that justification. See, this is when tab comes in handy. See how it wants to stay horizontal up there? It wants to stay hooked. That's when you hit tab and just cycle through all the different selection points. So now it's going to allow me to use this off angle and drop it down here. Yeah. Say if something is, let's say, another handy thing when you're lining up walls like this is you can change the location line. So you know those blue circles I was grabbing onto before to move the wall, this one here. It's usually on the end. You can always change it to the other side of the wall, which is really handy if, yeah, it's going to be easier to line it up onto the point cloud. So just be aware that you can cycle between that. You can also hit the spacebar to flip that wall around on that justification line. But yeah, no, I'd say this is a really good start. Probably, yeah, want to look at some of these windows. Not exactly merging perfectly into the wall, or they're not cutting it, are they? See, like that one's inside the wall. You can see it because I've selected it, and the wall's now transparent. But yeah, if you look inside, the window family is actually just inside the wall, but hasn't cut it yet. So how did you get that cut to work, Sion? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, now that the wall's on an angle, right? Alright, it's not happy with that. Oh, right, yeah, you can just take one that has successfully cut the wall and drop it in. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what actually happens if I... Is this one not? Okay, so what if I just move this one over? Trying to... Yeah. For those of you who don't know as well, that's a really easy way to copy and paste, is if you bring up the movement tool. The shortcut for that is MV, but you can always go up there and use that. I always suggest that you select the item you want to move first. So select that item, hit MV, or go up here, and then you can hover around until you get a selection point you want. Sometimes it's easy to grab a corner, sometimes it's just easy enough to grab the center. But if you're going to line it up to something, like the point cloud, for example, just hit tab until you get that little square, and that's going to give you just the corner of it. And then say, I want to line it up to here, can hook onto a part of the point cloud, or like part of the wall, cycling through tab until it gives me what I want. And then before you actually hit click to move it, you hold down the control button, and you guys seeing that little plus sign that's coming up next to the cursor? Yeah, so that means I'm just going to create a copy of it rather than move the actual item. So that's because when you copy and paste it, it just doesn't give you that option to hook on to where you want to. So it's kind of just, I guess, grabbed the somewhere in the bottom left corner inside that box, but it has no relationship to the actual element. So yeah, using that move tool's a bit handier, as there are a couple of repetitive areas in here. So hey, Nat, no worries, mate. Yeah, thanks for dropping in, Sion. All right, bye. But yeah, no, I'm pretty, like, all the elements are there. That's great. It's just a few things you want to do. Just some little details to patch up here, making sure these walls are coming along the right space. this is an example here of, see that justification line or the location line? If I just drop that to one of the sides, I know, for example, that I could get it right on the corner here if it's just slightly off axis. It's going to do that. And then now I can like pull it down this way for an extension to that corner as well. Now I'm seeing that it's right on the line. If anything, it could probably actually come out a little on the side. Yeah. This one here? Yeah, no, that's a little bit hairier. Let's see what we can do about that. So what I'd do with this one, oh good, this one's already on this line. Probably pull this up to somewhere like here, hit tab to allow it to give me that off angle. And then I'm going to drag it to this corner here. Then a super easy way to actually get walls to join each other is, for the sake of demonstration, let me pull this back. And I'm actually gonna, it is harder to model on the center lines. So actually modeling with the faces is going to help you in the long run. So putting it on that corner. Yep, I'll do the same up here. And a tool that you, like, I mean, if I was to drag this across onto this corner, I mean, it would be pretty good. But one of the things you can do, or one of the tools that's really handy, is using this tool. No, wait, no, that's the wall joinery one. If you guys have trouble with your wall joins, we can go over that one. It does happen when you're doing slightly off-axis angles, but we can get to that. That just kind of plays around with the like automatic joining of walls. But the tool that you want to use here is the trim or extend to corner. As you can see, the shortcut is TR. But what it lets you do is select one wall and then select another one and see how it draws that intersection already. So you hit the second wall and it just joins them up. So you guys can you can use that for things other than walls. If you're going to draw a floor slab, for example, let's say, where do the floors go? They're there. Say I just want to draw like a weird shape for a floor. You know, if something was modeled like that and you came in over here, trim will let you kind of pop off the end of that really quickly, or there. Yeah, it's just a pretty handy tool. Actually, it does depend on which side of the line you go it on. So if I do it on this side of the line, so it'll chop off that end. It's something to play around with. It's a bit of a lifesaver if you're trying to do things like stairs as well. It makes sure that the lines are actually joined. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's jump to that area. Whereabouts is it? The entrance of the library? Is it the 3 arches or the actual library entrance? Okay. Let's see. I'm going to turn on my crop thing. I'm going to save my CPU a little bit and just crop out everything that I don't need while that loads in. Yeah. Anime is kind of bad. Oh man, nah, I'm just kidding. Nah, you're right. Yeah, okay, sorry, you had some different sized walls. No, I'm kidding. Anime's okay. We'll be right. Hey, no, you're good. These ones? Okay, so when you got these different sizes, yeah, I see what you mean. You've got some real thick ones here, and then they kind of yeah strip down here. Um, so there's a couple ways you could approach this. Um, I would say you do want to go for thicker walls here. So you're just going to be drawing those in segments. Let me draw that wall on the exterior line. So with the generic walls, you don't really bother about which side is interior and which side is exterior. Um, it's all the same really. Handy thing is, again, you can use that spacebar to kind of put the wall on either side of that location line. Drop it down there. Get that size. Oh, yeah, no, that's a really big wall there. Yeah, a little bit too big. Nope. Yeah, you kind of just gotta just play around with the sizes, see if that's gonna work. And then always once you get that size right, you've made a new time, so you just hit that, and it's good housekeeping. Um, yeah, so what I do is just then go down to draw another wall. Um, using that location line, I can now hook onto this corner here. There we go. Just running through tab until I get the one that I want. Give that a bit more thickness, and we're good. So this is actually when I'd be using sections as well. a section through there. It's going to tell me if I'm getting the right thickness of wall, the right height. So now's actually the time, if you guys have a dual monitor set up, get that going, because once you have your plan and your sections available to view at the same time, you're just going to be like miles ahead. Yeah, no, see, it's a good example here because it actually looks like it's the correct thickness and plan, or it might be due to a little corner detail there. But in the section, okay, so the section's actually telling us that it's about the right thickness down here on the lower level, but it actually picks up some additional thickness up there as well. So that's when we have to break it down a little bit and see what's going on with that wall. So really handy to have those two references there, because it's going to tell you what's up as well. Actually, what I'm seeing here is that this wall the angles are slightly different. Another tool that I have at my disposal is the Align tool. So if I come up here, yeah, this is the Align tool here. The shortcut for that is AL, easy to remember. Basically what it lets you do is pick a line on an element, and you click that first one, that's now your new datum, and then you can hit a line on another element, and so it'll line it up, and that's actually now allowed the walls to join up as well. So functionally, they're still two separate elements, but now that the geometry is joined, it's just a bit nicer. One thing you can do as well is you can actually use the Align tool to align sections as well. So if I want to line up my section with this, I can click that first, set the datum, then hit the section as well, and that's going to line up the section there as well. Yeah, that's pretty handy. You can use it to rotate the section as well, so that's going to work if I... Oh, that is going to work if I... Really not liking this, is it? I'll hit that horizontal line. Nope, the section doesn't want to be aligned up. Yeah, no, in principle, you should be able to align the section on a different angle like I did with that first one. But yeah, that's just a quicker and easier way to get that section where you want it to be. Otherwise, you can just rotate it like any other element. Yeah, I'm sure you guys will figure this out. But yeah, you just drop it on there, and you can rotate it. You can always plug in some numbers if you want to do it accurately. Yeah. No, otherwise sometimes it's easier for that rotate tool. If I know I've got a corner right, you can always move the center of rotation with that circle. So that's the point that it's going to rotate around. You can always drop it on that corner. Again, if you need to use the tab to find it, make sure you hook onto that point. And now I can rotate those 75 degrees. Unjoin those elements, sadly, but yeah, that was a little glitchy. But yeah, that just happens with walls. And you've always got controls there, guys, so don't trip. Okay, with this other little section here, what I would say would be a pretty good move, if I remember right, was, I vaguely remember this being like a curtain wall system. So what I do is go into this view, see what we got. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's got this big arch, hasn't it? Okay. Yeah, that is an interesting section. We'll have to, yeah, okay, that discrepancy in wall size makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. So actually in this case, there's another thing you can do. Um, this is why sections are important because now we found out that there's an arch there. Um, I'd pull this all the way across and go back into that section. And this is, oh guys, you guys are gonna love this. I know you guys are gonna love this. So this is called editing profile. So when you draw that wall, just by default, it's this pink line. Um, and it's the same pink line that you use for all the other ones, like floors, um, windows, oh no, floors and roofs and whatnot. But what we can actually do with this is say we can either delete this bottom one now, or more elegantly what we can do is use the split tool. So that split elements tool, or SL, and we can, there. So it's going to split that bottom line into different parts where we put those points. I'm sure you guys have like similar tools and like modeling that you've done. So now you see I've split that up and we've got a couple of, we've got two shorter lines on each side there. And we're going to draw a model line, hook it onto that corner. If you want to double check that your geometry is joined, because otherwise it won't draw it, you can always see if it doesn't select that other one, then it means they're joined. So we can see that's an as-built detail where the line is not perfectly plumb. So we're going to try capture that by putting the line on a slightly off axis. The side looks pretty vertical. You know the builder had his plumb line on site that day. Have you guys ever seen a plumb line? It's literally like a little weight on a string. That's probably how they were doing it when they built this building. And so did you guys catch that? So it's the same as just a modeling line, except it's a different one. It's this one up here, and it just allows you to turn that line into an arc. You know, I'm just going to go and say that curve is good enough. I would accept this at LOD 200. Yeah. I'll take that comment in its stride, thank you. I'd still give myself an A. No. Okay, so actually let's take that into 3D and yeah, check it out. Now we have a wall with a beautiful arch. Isn't it beautiful, guys? It is lovely, thank you. Okay, and then what we can actually do, and going back into plan, is for another wall inside there. What we can do is, guys, general rule of thumb is refrain from modeling in 3D. But if I actually drag this wall up and so it clips inside the wall here. What I can do now is select that, and let's go into 3D. I can join the geometry. So joining this wall with this wall. No, sorry, I did that the wrong way around. So it's kind of like the trim tool. You want to select the principal item first. So if I select the bigger wall first, it's going to get rid of the material on the other one. So, cannot cut joined element. Well, that's not very nice. Okay, backup plan is if I can edit the profile on this one, I can use that align tool. Oh wait, no, wrong wall. Make sure I've got that correct wall selected. Yeah, again, if elements are on the same line, just use that tab until it'll cycle through the selection options again. And what I can do now is well that's okay, well that's joined on that line. But ideally, I should be able to delete that top line. And I use this tool here, the Pick Lines tool. This allows me to select other geometry and create a line along it. So that's using the same line as the other wall now, but for this profile, I use my trim tool, which is this one again, TR, the shortcut. Using that, it's going to trim those lines, make sure the geometry is joined. Okay, let's check that out in 3D. But we've got a wall inside a wall. Man, it's got some funny little details on thicknesses. So there's something there we go, that's the one we want. Let me get a bit more range on this section. Where are the things? Yeah, what's up? Okay, yep, that is the visibility and graphics tab. That is just VV on the keyboard. Otherwise, I believe it's in, yeah, visibility and graphics up here under the view tab. So if you just think about it being view specific, you'll always be able to find it there. But VV or VG works as a shortcut too. Yeah, and with this is pretty powerful. I'd recommend using this instead of hiding elements. So here, if I go through this, I have pretty much a list of all of the different modeling categories you've got in here. So say, for example, walls, I could turn off the visibility for that, hit apply, all these walls are going to disappear. Not very practical turning the walls off, but you never know, you might need it. You can also do graphical overrides as well. So say, for example, in the cut here, I know I'm at a section and I'm cut through that wall. So I can hit the inside of that, play around with that. I can turn those walls, let's just say turn them red for a laugh. Yeah. So this is definitely something to have a play around with as well. It's really handy if you want to Yeah, I mean, if you're having trouble telling between the point cloud or the difference between a point cloud and actual modeling elements, you can use things like this to help yourself out with that. Um, Especially, you guys might as well do this as well. Turn your sections onto that as well, so they're going to be easier to see. Oh no, you can't do it this way. Okay, there is a way to turn your sections red as well. I know they get lost as just little black lines. Um, there is a way to do this. I don't want to, that's probably a bit much at this point, but if you guys are interested in that, I can take the time to do that for you guys. But yeah, definitely something to have a play around with in this. Difference between modeling and like annotation categories. Annotations are going to be things like level lines, things that don't have a physical, like they're just in the modeling suite. They're just there to help you model rather than actually being like a physical object. Don't worry about analytical. Imported. We shouldn't really have any imported category. Oh yeah, no, this would be if we had a CAD file in here, which I do in my master version. Um, but yeah, you can turn that off in the view. If some of you guys do have that because you downloaded it, yeah, if you find that it's like interrupting your view, this is the place where you want to turn it off. But yeah, there's a tab for point clouds right at the end. Pretty much the only thing you can do with that is play with the coloring. Normals is usually a pretty good one to work with. So RGB being like realistic coloring, but if you hit that, intensities will kind of tell you which base the object is on. So it's kind of like having just a shaded 3D kind of representation. This is the one I would typically use. But sometimes you'll find yourself switching between them. They all have their own advantages, but yeah, I'd definitely say normals is the way to go over some of these other ones. Intensity is a little weird if you ask me. Doesn't really make too much sense to me. Well, it's kind of like shaded, but I'd stick to normals. Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely do things to help out your CPU, like turning off point clouds, getting your crop region down. Um, yeah, you don't want to be stressing out your system or like using up your CPU with um, more model drawing than you actually need to. Were you unloading them? Okay. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. No, well, in that case, I'm really glad we covered that because I know that can be such a stitch up. Yeah, but definitely like minimize the amount of point cloud that you're using. That's really going to help you out. Um, yeah, I've kind of jumped a bit all over the place. Um, Something I would do in here, for example, now is just use a curtain wall to capture that door. Um, why don't I go and do it as well, just for you guys? So selecting that item is going to turn it transparent. I am guilty of making that wall a bit thick, but for demonstration purposes, we can just move on from that. Ways to do that, I could um, split that wall again, and now I could turn this into a curtain wall just by going to type, changing that to curtain wall. As I expected though, that's going to create some problems because it still thinks it's like part of this like arch. Not really seeing that, but that curtain wall will be going like all the way up there, so that is less ideal. So actually probably the better way to draw that would be to have not split it up and change it into a curtain wall, but rather go to the section and then what I'll do is create a this wall opening tool is kind of like a handier way of it's a really quick way of editing that wall profile. Trouble is you can only draw squares with it. You can't get that curve. Okay, let's see. I think it's just being a bit dicky because I turned it into a curtain wall or like edited the profile. I think it only lets you do wall openings when you haven't messed around with the profile. So with this one, unfortunately, since we didn't start it with a wall opening, we're just going to have to do edit profile on this one as well. Always draw it first and then set things. As those corners are joined, they're just going to follow each other nicely. I feel like that's the open door and that this is actually where the wall runs up until. Yes, no, I don't know. Hit yes, very chic. Let's check the plan. Hey, what do you know? I'd probably take it back to there still. Oh, is this gonna let me? Okay, now I've got like an extra point to hook into, so I think if I drag those, that's actually gonna stretch open the wall opening. Hey, look at that. Marvelous. Yeah, so I was thinking what I would have done is draw this as an entire curtain wall inside here, and then you can use the grid system to turn these back into generic walls. But I think what this needs is more likely just going to be another wall, another thinner wall drawn inside this profile, and then have a curtain wall connecting across here. Yeah, you can see how it's a can of worms, really, in terms of how much detail you can go into. I don't know, you guys finding this helpful? Okay. Oh, I don't know, I'm conflicted about giving you all the answers then straight away, Delokshi. Yeah. So here's an example of wall profiles being a bit dicky. It's just decided to turn into a bit of a Frankenstein wall. Um, so yeah, definitely prefer those wall openings if you're going to be able to use them. Um, Let me see if I can demonstrate the wall opening. Okay, see, there we go. My wall opening's available now because I haven't played around with the profile. But this is definitely a better tool. So I'm just drawing that box with it. It doesn't matter if I go beyond the wall. Um, it's all fine and dandy. I can always select the wall opening as an item as well, and then I have those draggable boxes. But if we look in 3D, it's, yeah, gone and drawn a hole in the wall. And if I'm really lucky, it's going to let me join geometry this time. No, it didn't like that. Maybe I can attach top to base. No. So that only kind of works with floors and roofs. Yeah. But honestly, like, I mean, if it is technically clipping like this and you can't really tell, I mean, that's pretty much LOD 200 in a nutshell. Yeah. I'd say if you were gonna do Deluxia, if you're gonna go through and do this with wall profiles, get this door sorted first. Yeah, because like, yeah, if you can, do wall profile edits last, and so that you don't have to touch the item ever again, because sometimes it just breaks walls. Or then if you go around and play with the profile or play around with it in plan, it really messes around with that profile. But yeah, no, that's probably how I'd go about that space. Does anyone else have any areas that they've been having a bit of trouble with? Just, yeah. So what are we looking at? Can you see it here? Right, the thickness of the wall changing. Um, yeah, no, so you do want to capture that. That's a major enough element. Yeah, I think what you'd be best doing there is drawing a wall all the way along. Drawing it as one unit first, getting it about to the thickness that you want. Let's just say for posterity's sake, that's kind of the one we want. I'll use that split tool. And then just give this one a little bit of extra thickness. Yeah, I'd say that's the way to do it. Yeah, do it like that rather than drawing one segment, then drawing another segment and making it a bit thicker. Yeah, and also just draw that first one, get the wall in a position that you're happy with. Or like, you know, according to the point cloud, because like the minute you start like just adjusting all the little pieces, it'll start to break the joining of the walls. So do that split as the last thing you do on this wall edit. See how like when you start playing around with stuff on slightly off angles, it starts to break the Revit model. Yeah. Important to work with your sections and 3D just to like verify that what you're doing in plan and in section is correct. Yeah, so that's what's been going on with that wall, is that there's just this part of the brick sticking out. So this is, oh, sorry, I haven't taught you guys that tool. So if you select items, you can select multiple, and you either hit BX for the shortcut or 3D view. It's just going to use your 3D view, but it's going to create a section box around it, and that's kind of like any other old item. You can drag it, make it bigger, but that's a really easy way to just take a couple elements, hit BX, hit that 3D view button, and then just focus on those in a 3D view. Yeah, so that's going to be a really handy reference for you guys. But yeah, no, like this will tell me, like I've actually clipped outside here. What was the question? Sorry, what was that about a curtain wall? No, I think I have lost connection. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, yeah, for those of you watching the screen recording, I have famously disconnected again, so don't worry about that. Wi-Fi should be coming back in a couple minutes. It's my famous flat internet. Anyway, I hope you guys have been all right today. Thank you, Hanalei, for letting me demonstrate on your model. Yeah, no, you're getting on great. All right, I think I'm back. All right, yeah, sorry about that, guys. It took a little longer than usual. Um, yeah, no, so let me get that screen back up. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's about it, guys. Like, the biggest takeaway for today is just remembering that LOD level, not getting too carried away where you don't have to. Um, yeah, definitely refer to that LOD 200 section in the recommended reading. The link is somewhere in the general chat or in your email as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy to go through some more areas as well. You guys had any specific question? Everybody gets one. Yeah, no, that's fine. We've already run a bit over time, so I don't want to force you guys to stay on. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'll put the video online as well, so you guys can always refer back to it as well. Yeah, no, thanks, guys. I hope yeah, it was a good one. All right, cheers. Bye, guys.